Everybody, hello, and welcome back to another episode live of the Zactivist Speaks. And tonight we're speaking on opening your own charter school. I am joined by curriculum leader, master teacher, expert coach, and now school founder, Kolt Bloxson. Kolt, welcome to the show, my love. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Zach. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy that you could join us. This is a pretty big conversation, right? Like what you've done is really the dream of every educator out there. Every educator thinks to themselves, what if I just opened my own school? What if I just did it myself? But the reality that you can do that isn't something that everyone can necessarily envision. So, Kolt, this is my very first question for you. And what I want to know is, at what point in your career did you realize being a school founder was possible?
It's a great question. I think I just got to the point where there was just so much of those thoughts in my head. Like, if I had a school, I'd do this. If I had a school, I'd do that. If I had a school, I would not do that. And then I think being a mother and the sense of urgency that I felt for my own son's education, and then I'm opening the school in the community in which I live, seeing what was happening with the local schools around me, it just reached a boiling point. And I was like, you know what? It's time. It's absolutely time to go ahead and do this and to do it now.
And you did it, right? So you are now the school founder of Miles Ahead Charter School, which is in Mableton, Georgia, which is going to open its doors to students for the first time in August of 2022. Now, the journey started for you in 2019, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And so from 2019 to 2022, I know it's been a process to get Miles Ahead in a journey. Can you tell us the story of Miles Ahead as concisely as possible from 2019 and how you began the process until where you are right now?
So obviously, right, we just talked about that thought in my own head, but it's not just me opening this school, right? It is me, but I'm fully supported by a board of directors. There's 11 of them, and we're supported by more than a 300 strong community support of families, students, small business organization. So the story of Miles Ahead might start with an idea in my head, but from 2019 until today, we have just snowballed into people who, like me, wanted something different for the kids in the South Cobb community of Georgia, who just wanted to create another option for families. And so one person became 5 people, became 6 people, became 100 people. And so the story is really with the power that communities will do when they feel like something needs to be done for the sake of kids and in advocacy and in behalf of kids. And that's truly the story of Miles Ahead. And my role is simply to be the person who gets to be at the helm. And so as concisely as possible, I think it's it. It's the story of grassroots community work. Oh, and I think you're mute, Zach.
I am mute. Kolt, like that, hearing you say that is like amazing, right? Because it really indicates and illustrates the heart of a school leader who is in it for the kids, but even more so in it for the community. That's an element of school leadership that I think is so often omitted or glossed over, right? We're oftentimes, in my opinion, this is my opinion, we're oftentimes talking about for the kids, but the outreach goes to the community. When you are a good school leader, you are not just transforming the lives of children, but you're transforming opportunities for those children by transforming the lives of their homes. You're transforming the lives of families. And so what you say speaks directly to what I wanted to one day do if I would have pursued school leadership. And you also talk about distributive leadership and that this work is something that is spread around, not just owned by you as a visionary behind the concept, by the people that are working with you on the concept. So this is the current, your board, some of your board members. Who are these people and how have they contributed to the vision of Miles Ahead Charter?
So secretly, these people met literally an hour ago. So there's me, the founder of Miles Ahead Charter School, and then there's my work wife right next to me. That is Erica J. Smith. I just, I cannot sing Erica's praises enough. Erica leads nonprofit management for startup companies, and so I knew right off the cuff that I wanted to work with Erica as a board chair. And currently, she's leading Smith Strategies and Consulting and just knocking it out the park. She's really good with making sure that we're following Robert's rules and that our board is on track and in compliance with the state. Then you have the wonderful Amber Deal, who is an amazing baseball mom first to two amazing kids, but she is the head of our marketing team and she is amazing at what she does. She just got this really great promotion and she's traveling and she's really leading a lot of our social media marketing. And she's actually putting together our student and our employee swag bag. It's awesome. And then this amazing individual right here, Ashley Lee, who's just
one of my nieces. She's a Kirk kid.
Yes, she is. And just, oh my goodness, I loved her the minute I met her. Just really, truly high capacity educator, doctoral student, just an amazing overall educator for Atlanta Public Schools, and is really holding it down for us as the secretary on our board, and is just really holding it down. Anyone who's ever worked with Ashley knows, try to do whatever you can do to keep her on the team.
So, my friend Candy just popped on, and your school is in her community. She lives close to you in that part of Cobb County. So, Candy, I want you to stick around because I really want to let you know I'm going to connect you to Kolt. When there may be a board seat opening, there's a possibility. I think that you will be phenomenal with the Candy head. She's in the tech world. She is one of those very rare unicorns of an educated Black female in the tech space, right? That is her chosen field. And she is doing phenomenal work. And I think that she will be an amazing, even if not a board member, a volunteer for the school and for the work that the school does, because she's learned a lot about education through the relationship that she and I cultivated. She's always here with us. And I just really feel as though she would bring a level of passion, good questions that you guys would appreciate, because she's so civically minded and she's always constantly seeking to contribute and to give. I think that she would love being a part of the Miles Ahead family in whatever capacity you guys may be in need. We talked about this amazing board and this huge amount of work that is going into it. I want to know what has been, from your vantage point, the hardest part of opening the school.
I think probably the hardest part is just really making sure that the systems and components are in the place that they need to be, right? So what's really unique about Miles Ahead Charter School is not only are we going to be our own charter school, we're actually going to be our own LEA. So we are our own district. We are authorized by the State Commission Charter Schools. So we're out here just without support, right? What our board sets is what we have to do legally and truly. And so knowing that we have to be our own district means we have to have certain compliance, certain things in place that other districts would support their local schools on. We also have to truly understand what it means to fund our school. Most local schools get SPLOST dollars. They get their local tax. We get none of that. We are fully state funded. So while we're excited about the fact that we can bring more state dollars in terms of education to our local community, we don't get the benefit of local support. So we have to fundraise in order to survive. We have to recruit in order to survive. And so being a board that's doing the work of governing and really setting up the practices, policies, and procedures to be effective, it can take a lot of work. And all of us are volunteers. So really having that get up and go for 3 years can be challenging at times. But to say, wow, we have been doing this from 2019 has been quite a journey. And we're super proud of where we've been and where we're about to go.
And I feel like I do feel like we've glossed over the how hard this is. Like, I don't want to get a wrong impression. Like, it ain't easy to just go out here and open my school up. Like, it's really, really difficult. So I'm going to very quickly, just do probe a little bit, because number one, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the funding. You're saying you are your own local education agency, your own LEA. So you don't get any money except the state funds that you're going to get allocated for the students that you have, which won't even be enough to keep the lights on.
Correct.
And right? So in order for you That's our good friend Ernest. In order for you to operate, you're going to have a massive amount of funds raised. Parents don't pay for their babies to go here. Like it's free, but so it's an expectation that everyone's going to rally behind you in the school to keep this school running. In addition to that, how did you get a building? How did you even get a building? Did you buy a building? Did Cobb County build you a building?
This is such great questions. Thank you so much. So as it relates to the facility, obviously we want to be fiscally responsible. We looked at what makes successful charter schools really strong. And what we found is that schools that really stick within a 17% budget when it comes to all facilities costs, loans, rent, keeping those lights on, they tend to be really successful throughout their first charter term. We decided to set that for us at 15%. So it was a hard journey, right? We were looking for something that was ready made. Can we get in there? Can we go in there and just kind of do a couple of things? And we found a place. It's actually in Powder Springs. It's on the Relentless Church Atlanta campus's location, and it used to be an early learning center. And really, it was kind of closed because of COVID. And when you go in there, there are these themed rooms that are just so cute. There's this barnyard room, there's this country store room, and it was just sitting there. And it was remarkable the relationship that we could build between us and the church to say, hey, we're starting out, you guys are starting out. How can we support each other? And so we were able to get a loan to support kind of the renovation that would have to pace, and really set our limits for what we could afford. And they're letting us start and grow there. And it's a great place for us because not only can we start there affordably, but when we look at our equity-based goals, we can also afford transportation. So not only can we be free for our families, but we can bring our families to us, which again is also really remarkable for being a first-year charter school.
So you guys are going to buy a school bus.
We're going to lease a school bus. So we're definitely going to work with a company that's going to support us in that process. Lots of leases in this first year.
When you consider a charter school and how a charter school operates, I want the people out there to know that not only do you have to find a building, and in your case, your building was kind of a shared opportunity between you and a local faith-based organization. You also have to think about how will kids get there. When kids go to private schools, which is an expense to the parents, they typically provide their transportation for the parents for the child to get to the school. For a charter school, many charter schools operate with their parents having to also bring their child, but you mentioned the word equity. And I'm assuming, Cole, what you mean is that if a child can't come because their parents can't bring them, you're creating an environment that is unequal or it's inequitable because every child doesn't have access to the level of education that your school can provide. So you're removing that barrier by providing transportation, by leasing a bus, which is also going to come, of course, at an extra cost, right?
Extra cost to us, but completely free for our families. Yes.
Now, Cole, this is a hard question. So, I'm going to preface it by giving you the heads up. I'm going to ask you a hard question. But again, it's a question I think needs to be asked and answered to the best of your ability. And for anyone watching, why would I send my child to Miles Ahead Charter or any charter school as opposed to their local neighborhood public school? Because I know that's an issue that many parents grapple with every single day when they look at what's the best environment for my child.
Oh, I love that we can talk about this question. So first of all, I believe in all schools. Every school is here for kids. I love my local school. I love the school that my son goes to. But I think the better question we have to ask ourselves is everything for everybody? And I don't think that's necessarily true, right? I don't think that the current way that we find ourselves in education is I think it's antiquated, right? I think it's antiquated to say because you live here, you must go here, or you could go to this place if there's space. And I think we have a whole bunch of options in life when it comes to a variety of things, where you want to live, the pants you wear, the clothes you drive. Yet we don't have options or choice when it comes to where we have to educate our kids. And when you live in a community like mine and you have people who aren't your child's teacher or aren't your children's principal or aren't you making decisions about schools closing, schools merging, what are you supposed to do? You have to go to one school, and if you have to go to that one school, it's not the best fit for your kid, and you just have to grit your teeth and bear it. So go to the school that works for your baby, that works for your family. If it's a school that has a STEM program, do it. If it's a school that has a band program, do it. I think that's what this is about. That I truly believe that not everything is for everybody, and that's okay. But it's also okay to say, here's what works for my child. And a lot of the conversations that I have with people who say, why should I come to Miles Ahead Charter School? And I'll say, well, I'll tell you about Miles Ahead Charter School, but I want you to go where your baby is going to be successful. And if it's here, awesome. If it's somewhere else, great. But now you have the choice, and now you can say, go here. If I could follow up on that too, Zach, some other things that I think are antiquated about the way that public schools work are, if you look at certain communities, particularly in West Atlanta, gentrification is happening in real time. And it is not fair to uproot children and families when they don't know where to go. We see that that's happening right now in Thomasville Heights, right? We see that that's happening in the West Side. So as families are moving and changing, it's not fair to disrupt a child's education. We know that that has severe impact for how they have success long term. And when we look at statewide schools like Miles Ahead, no matter where a child lives, they can still go to the same school. So if they have to move, if they have to go and move in with auntie or grandma, they can still come to Miles Ahead. They can still have access to the same services. And I think it's thinking like that, where how can we create systems that are better for families and kids, that we really have to start thinking outside the box about, versus saying, this is how it's always been. And if you move, you can't go here anymore. I think that's a disservice at this point in time.
That is one of the most powerful statements of equity I've ever heard in my life. As someone with a lot of years in education, right? Like I am, because my beard dye was discoloring my skin. I'm letting the gray come in until the discoloration goes away. So as someone who has been in education for a lot of years, that is a powerful statement, that just simply allowing children who face whatever transitions that happen, right? Where you may have to move from one home to another, where you may have to move from one apartment complex to another, where you may have to go and live where you were living with mom and dad. Maybe now you're living with a grandparent or another relative. That's already a big life disruption. But now you don't have to have your education disrupted. That one thing right there would be a powerful movement in education across the board to ensure equity for all students. And I appreciate you for saying that. And I never thought about that. But again, that's the difference between me and a school founder, right? Because now you think that way. Kolt, I'm so proud of you. Like, for those not watching, I had the chance to work with Kolt. I know how brilliant she is. She's a mathematics expert. She is one of the most dynamic and brilliant minds around elementary math education I've ever encountered. And not only that, though, her work ethic and her ability to work and her stamina for work and her just positivity towards the work was unmatched, like hands down. Like working with you, Kolt, was a pleasure. It was a joy. It was a career joy. I think I've already told you, right? Like in my current position, I make sure that I treat my manager the way that you treated me. Like I make sure that I am that positive voice. I make sure that I am not bringing anything that would not be of service to the work to him. So you taught me how to be a better employee by the example that you had. And that's why I'm so happy to support you with what you're doing.
Thank you.
A lot of people out there think that charter, and I know I was one of those people until you started this journey with Miles Ahead Charter, that charter schools only exist to steal money from public schools. What do you say to people who have that mentality? But you've really kind of answered it about why you do this. And I guess there's no reason to answer unless you want to add to it. But one thing that I love about you and Miles Ahead is that when you go back and we look at these people involved in this school, these are public school educators. These are not like corporate people. These are not, people who come from worlds that don't understand education for the most part. You and Ashley are public school educators, where you've attended public schools, where you've taught in public schools, where you've served in public schools, and now you're opening your own school. It is amazing. But anything to add to that question that I just asked?
Absolutely. I would say that not all schools, not all school districts, and not all charters are funded the same. And we very specifically and strategically understand our local community first. We know that we do not live in a city, so therefore our city gets the leftover taxes from Cobb County. Why would we want to open up a local district school to already stress the already stressed tax digest. Wouldn't make sense. So first, know your local politics, know how funding works around you. And then we said, well, how can we make this beneficial to our community? Apply to the state. And when we applied to the state, we now can say, okay, we're bringing in more state dollars that to this community in terms of education than students were getting before. So we actually are not even accessing any local taxpayer digest. We get nothing from the millage. We get simply state directed funds. And on that, we can stand to say we truly are working in collaboration with local schools and not in competition. And I would encourage anybody to seek out how those charters are funded and to ask. All charters have public meetings. Attend them. Ask them those questions. I never mind when people ask me that, and I say, "This is what we did, and why we did it, and that's why."
And you're doing it well. And you're doing it well. Cole, another question when you talk about that I had, it was a good question. Now it's like completely falling out. But again, I've already called it on myself by talking about the fact that I'm letting y'all see this big gray come into play. And I'm sure the question is gonna come back to me, but it was also about this is the question I have. The question that I have too is, how are you able to attract talent to work at the school if you're not getting the funding that a traditional school would have? How are you able to attract talent?
So that's actually a really good question, Zach. Very early in this journey, I tapped into some of my teacher friends and we did surveys of over to 50 teachers. And I literally asked that question. If I cannot pay you dollar for the local metro districts, what would it take for a school to not just attract you, but to retain you, right? And so obviously the answers were, number one, planning time, right? Make sure I have planning time. Number two, I think there was a general consensus that charter schools tend to have like a longer day. Like they tend to end at like 4:30. And it was like, don't pay me less and then have me working longer hours. And then number three, it was that they just generally wanted their craft developed, like help me become a better teacher, help build my capacity. And I feel like and then of course, help my kids, right? Like help my kids, help me, and you've got me kind of thing. So it was like, bet, gauntlet thrown. And so what we've done at Miles Ahead was we kept our hours within the appropriate time. And we have what we call a 2+1 structure. So no teacher teaches more than 2 content areas a day, plus either a power or a genius hour. And so we have these really nice deeper learning frameworks where kids can dive deeply into literacy for over 2 hours a day, into math for 100 minutes a day. And then we have our social, emotional, and crew time for over an hour a day, plus power hour. And that's it. That way teachers have to prep less, plan less, but they can go deeper and dive much more richly into small group instruction that they would in a traditional setting. And it works. And then we have Expedition Day, where teachers get a full day of planning, but students are in coding, they're in STEM, they're in music, they're talking with local artists about things going on in that Expedition Day to create that community connection that we're looking for. So
and they have that once a week.
Yep, once a week.
Expedition Day. So you literally answered a major question that I have been exploring this is week 8 or maybe even week 9 of a 10-week process that I've been on with LinkedIn in their Creator Accelerator program. And the whole focus of my time has been to uplift educators, to inform educators, and to talk about the opportunities teachers who go outside of their current positions and help them kind of see what's out there and what they may want to do. And a lot of teachers are looking at leaving education, but at the same time, as we look at what they can do, I want to also give back to school systems and schools and say, what can you do to keep them? And you just told us, it's not about the income. It's not about the salary for your teachers. It's about being in an environment where they are valued and where they are empowered and where they are able to do what needs to be done for kids. And you, the leader, will also do what's right for kids. And if you do that, they're going to be there with you. Teachers will actually they will actually take less pay to work in that kind of an environment.
I think that's true. Like, I think that's why they're coming. I think that they see that we want what's best for kids and we want what's best for them.
How many vacancies are left?
That's a good question right now. It depends upon how many people accept them. So here's what I will say. apply away. We're looking for people who want to pioneer with us, who want to say, let's do what's best for kids. Let's create what works. Let's break down some walls and try something new. We're not going to be perfect, but we're going to be hard at work. And we have a lot of fun on our crew. We have a ton of fun. And I think that good energy attracts good energy. And if you want to come have fun with us and really create something beneficial for children, reach out to me, reach out to Miles Ahead. We'd love to have you.
So you're saying anyone out there who is ready to be innovative and really, put children first, which is a part of your motto, right? Go the extra mile, educate the whole child. That's our school motto. That's what we're saying. You're saying this is something that they may want to look at. This is something they may want to consider. The website is up. You can Google Miles Ahead Charter School. Go right in, learn about the school, and apply to open positions. What do you need from the public to be successful?
I would love for the public to support whatever ways they can. If that's, hey, I've got this great resource that you guys can use, or I've got this library that you can have. You can also financially support us. Like we said, it's going to be tight for us, but we hope to do it. We can do it. And fundraising is going to be a nonstop journey. If you know someone who lives in West Atlanta, Georgia, we do have a statewide attendance zone. So let them know that we're enrolling and that we're hiring.
So you can live anywhere in the state of Georgia. You can live anywhere in this state and attend Miles Ahead.
Yep, we have one child applying from Savannah. And I said, okay, we'll figure out how to make it work.
Make it work. Okay, and so another question, it's a really good point. So how many classrooms per grade level will be opening with the school?
Awesome. We'll have 4 classes of kindergarten, 2 classes of first grade, 1 second, and 1 third.
And so one thing that I think people could possibly do is to adopt a classroom. Like if you're out there and you want to really contribute to Miles Ahead, you may want to think about, can I adopt a classroom? And you partner with that teacher for the whole entire year, and you just offer support, resources, things that teacher, that he or she may need, treats for the class, let the teacher be the guide, but you be the resource and you be the support. That's one way that you can help support this type of a school, especially with resources being so tight. Well, Kolt, in addition to opening a charter school and being a mom, and you're also now a fiance. Okay, so I want to tell you a huge congratulations to you and your man for this new lifetime commitment that you guys are entering into. The question, though, is because there are people out there who are already feeling overwhelmed by all that they do, right? Like they're holding down their full-time job in the classroom or in the schoolhouse, and they're coming home and they're barely able to feed themselves, let alone a whole entire family, let alone find love and maintain love. How were you able to balance your life?
I found my puzzle piece, right? That's what I call it. I found my puzzle piece. Like I go this way, he goes that way, and we just fit. So our calendars have to be linked. So it's like, okay, I've got this meeting. Can you come here? Can you pick up Miles? Like it's definitely a perfect match right there. And I also think too, it's just about communication. I'm maybe an over communicator, he might say, but I think he appreciates when I say, hey, I've got this, can you help? Or he can say, hey, I've got this, can you help? And I just want to give him a shout out for just supporting me in this dream. He's been on this road too.
The whole time. It's been the whole time. And now you mentioned Miles. So tell us about Miles. Who is Miles? We know about Miles Ahead, but who is Miles?
Miles is my 8-year-old, just sweet pea. He's my love. He's my heart. He's literally my inspiration. And I look at him in the face every day and I say, I want so much for you that I'm bursting at the seams and want to do it for other people too. So he just, he's a treat. And he always tells me, just like, Mommy, if I go to Miles Ahead, are they going to think you're giving me all the answers? And I'm just like, I don't think so, bud. I think you'll be okay.
So, and that sounds like your son would ask. And so when you have the next child, so that Miles has a sibling, are you going to open a school for them too?
Well, Zach, the big vision is in my head that there's going to be mini Mac. So like a birth center, like an early learning center, little Macs. So Macs K through 5, and then big Macs, maybe 6 through 12. So a nice birth through K pipeline.
You know, when you are ready to open Big Mac, you may be the one person who can bring me back into the field. You may be the one that could get me back in the field to help make Big Mac happen and do it big. Everyone out there, I really want you to think about how you can support the school. You can donate to the school. I made my donation today.
Woo! Thank
Okay?
you.
I made my donation today because I believe in Kolt, I believe in this school, and I believe in the opportunities, Kolt, that you're creating for children. And you can donate any amount that you want to donate to help get this school up, going, and running. Now, Kolt, do you have any questions for me?
Zach, I just adore everything that you do. Everything that you do. And the only thing that I would say to you is just keep doing what you do. Because I'm a secret stalker. I love seeing what you do. I run now because of you.
You're right, good.
You are my inspiration in all things.
But
and
you've always been very athletic. I mean, you play hockey. You're a hockey player.
I did, but you know, hockey, I mean, that's skating. That's different than running. So my question for you is, how do you do it all? Like, how do you just like, and I've always thought that. So now is my chance to ask my former boss, like, how do you do it all?
It is nothing but simply building it into your day. It's time management. You build it into the day and you go. I am not someone who wakes up at 5 o'clock. It ain't gonna happen. But I do go to bed later. I'm a night owl, right? And so for me, I build it into what works for me so that I feel my best. Like I know that if I don't get enough sleep, I don't feel good. I don't feel my best. So I try to make sure I get enough sleep. I go to bed when I'm sleepy. I schedule my day to where I wake up about 9 o'clock. So I'm a 9 to 5 worker, but typically I go beyond that. I have a high, one thing about being an educator is it really builds your stamina. A teacher who really masters the craft of good teaching is a hard worker, and they build up a lot of hardcore stamina. So my 9 years in the classroom gave me an incredible stamina for work, and I never stopped working like a teacher. In every job that I've ever had, it was never less work, and it should not be less work. Every promotion you have should be twice the work of the job that came before. And I think you know that, right? Like I watched you as a coordinator and you worked more than the average coordinator, but you were working more than the average instructional coach, which is a job that you had before you became a teacher, maybe after a teacher. So that's the same mentality that I have around work. One thing that we do every night, every episode of the Zactivist Speaks on, is we play a game. We end with the game, right? So we have a new game that I'm rolling out tonight for those watching. I want you guys who are watching at home to play as well. Kolt, have you ever heard the game called Culture Tags?
Culture tags? No, I don't think so.
So this is what Culture Tags, that's the box in the top. And it's like nothing but like abbreviations in its categories, right?
Okay.
They have like, they'll have like gospel songs as a category. And then they would, have like the initials of like the first letter of the word, like leaning on the everlasting arm would be like LOEA. Okay. And you would have to know that in the context, right? So I have created my own culture tag game called Teacher Tags. And I have little clues with it. Here's the first one. The word is SU. It's 2 words, SU. S is the first SU. And here it is. Something no teacher.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, do I have to say it? Do I have to say it? Because I
have to say it.
Okay. Shut up. Ooh.
Shut up. Well, it is the reality now. It's Teacher Tags. And that's right. James was going to say it for you. Cole act like she was scared to say it. But it's a reality, right? And it's the people I have no problem with coming in, Cole. Shut up! No teacher should ever say it. Now here is the second one. Let's go to our next. You get the gist of the game, Cole.
I get it.
Okay. Here's the next one. It won't be as controversial, I don't think.
GBDDYID. So you.
And here's a clue. Here's a clue. Often said at the end of the day before dismissal. Now think about it, Cole. This is often said, especially at the beginning of the year. And you don't often hear this in the teacher's classroom later than the beginning of the year, especially if they have good classroom management.
Okay.
It's often said at the end of the day before dismissal.
The bus.
TBDDY, comma, ID.
I feel like comma ID is like I did.
Close.
Or I do.
Okay, very good.
Um,
But what's the TBDDY? Can anybody out there watching give us the TBDDY? I promise you, when you see it, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
I probably will.
I literally will only say this the first day of school. The first day, literally, and after that, I never had to say it again ever.
The bus.
I didn't, but my colleagues, some of them did. Bam!
The bell doesn't dismiss you. I do.
Absolutely right.
I
The
got
bell
you.
doesn't dismiss you. I do.
I
Now,
got
Cole, have you never said that?
Well, see, remember, Zach, you taught high school. I taught elementary students. So
Okay.
for me, right, it was just
They
like
never get up at the end of the day?
not with the bell, like, they typically are just like looking for you to tell them what to do. But trust me, I've
Now, I
heard
hear what
people
you're
tell me
saying, but
that.
I've been in elementary schools at the end of the day, and some of them little musty rascals is jumping up, running hard to that door, and they snatching a snack bag on their way out the door. Now, I'm just telling you, and I've seen it in the elementary. I've seen it with my eyes in the elementary schools. Now, I that's what I've seen, but maybe not. Okay. Cole, here is the next one. Here's our next one. Next teacher tag is this. FYF, exclamation mark. FYF, exclamation mark. Said to students who illustrate physical displeasure after being given explicit instructions. Said to students.
Fix your face.
Who
In that
illustrate
order.
fix your face is absolutely commonly now said. It's a part of the American lexicon. Parents say it, teachers say it, leaders say it, and even kids say it to other kids. Absolutely right. Fix your face, FYF. Fix your face. And here's the next one. IW, period. IW.
Period.
Said when two close friends are whispering in the middle of the lesson. Said by the teacher. When two close friends are whispering in the middle of the lesson.
Said by the teacher.
Yep, said by the teacher. You'll be talking to your friend out of nowhere. The teacher will say this, and you'll stop and look up and be like, "Oh man."
I'm watching.
Not I'm watching, but close, and it is a contraction, so it could be IWW.
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 I won't. I will.
Bam! You know what? We on the same page, Dr. Dixon. I'll wait. I'll wait. Like, babe, I'm just gonna stop teaching altogether. You want to talk? I'll wait on you to finish. But Cole, that too may be a secondaryism.
No, I've said it. I've said it plenty of times.
Yeah, I'll wait. I think I may have said it to adults. I may have said that to the. Here is the next one. TPIJ. Words every last-minute teacher dreads when trying to prepare materials for that day.
Atlanta.
Well, this isn't related to Atlanta, but we say "I'll wait" in Atlanta. "I'll wait" is an Atlantaism.
Oh,
now go back this one. It is the words every last-minute teacher dreads to hear when he or she is trying to prepare materials
the photocopier is jammed.
Damn! There could be no greater pain for the procrastinating teacher than the printer is jammed. Now you have sat up here and you literally made these materials maybe that very morning, and you ain't gonna make no copies because the printer is jammed, and your day has been significantly disrupted. Here's our last one. CCAS said when students are getting ready for whole class reading. What do you say to students when you are trying to get them ready for a whole class reading? You've gathered them on the mat, and what do you say?
Crisscross applesauce. But then I also say spoons in the bowl.
And spoons in the bowl with their little hands, right? Now I don't know if
Yes.
I spell Chris right because I don't know what the Chris. I never understood the Chris of the cross, nor do I really understand where the applesauce comes from. But I know that the elementary teachers say it, and when I first saw it, I thought it was cute, and then I realized everyone says it. Everyone says it. I think is that might be our last one. We may have just one. That was it. That was it, Kolt. Thank you so much for this enlightening conversation. The last and very final question that I have is, if I want to start a charter school, what is the very first place that I should look to get information?
The very first place you should look, depending upon your state, would be either your local board of education or your state board, and understand the process of how a school is authorized.
Do we have organizations out there that help give guidance and advice to a school founder who want to become a part of the charter school work?
Absolutely. I myself went through the Georgia Charter Schools Association incubator program. They trained me, they trained the board. They're amazing. And there should be incubator programs like GCSA in other states that work with. And there's also other entities out there that support High Tech High Graduate School of Education in San Diego, TNTP. So those organizations are out there. And if you want to know more about them, feel free to reach out to me.
And Candy said, how long does it take, the process?
To open a school?
Yeah,
I would say typically give yourself a good 2-year run, right? Any shorter than that, it's kind of like dinner. You don't want it to come out too quick, but you want it to be just right to be good. So give yourself 2 years to really do community engagement, write your policies, write your charter, and really establish yourself.
And be ready to go. Kolt, thank you so much. I'm so excited for you. I'm so thankful that I have the chance to know you and to be able to support this dream. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And I will continue to be here for you. Congratulations. And we're excited to go miles ahead. Thank you guys for joining, everyone. Connect with Kolt on LinkedIn and follow Miles Ahead Academy on Twitter as well as Instagram.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.